Yeah, adofo no makwa abade be emergency Ghana movement TV so. Sabri de ya de mo eba ewiase kakra. Ya de mo ba wiase kakra chese. Sabri obia African countries no obia anka esua nyansa. Obia manadwen ada ho. Obia ebie nani ono ankasa nti wo hwewa na aisese mpanifo no ya de mo si akonya so no monye de wo se mo yepe na wo se omu sojafo ne pagya mo si nchen na omo nkasa ewuru country no eno nti saa ku ni ade no ebia sisi wa Africa countries ni bia chese ohwa omani abriye omonye omadwen se sampanifo we sora na odiska ebehu sika wo we dem yekohu sika wo minister we dem ni saa ne ma no omo mpese ombehu biem ompese eduru ba bia yen akasa yehu se obia pani bia wo ye dwuma bia na katua se no na katua ya wo se ne nsaka no ese no onua gina so na yensua de kakra na yensu yehu se Ghana fo eduru ba bia ye kachi wo ho na omo hu se omo president ne nya de na soja fo Niger fo omo akasa sori atia se no omo abebu omo ano omo bepe kwan bi so no abebu omo anti omo yi omo soja omo yi omo government na akasa eden esi nchen na omo ahe wadwen se omo rule country no soja for no na we na se na ekutia binum ekutia foreign countries ni bi European countries no bibi se US ne France ne Germany ne Canada no ne yi no ekutia omo Canada kra de omo nshada ni problem because hono kra nem so omo wo minerals kakra ho a omo abetumi a ewe na US no omo ye country bi o mani ate yankasa omani acheche se omohwe na wo oil wo crude oil wo a minerals bia na omo ma hyeda pekwan bi so na omo adada mo se ye besi ye military base wa ha na omo besi military base na omo si base no na chese omo de bo asade omo de bo mo ho ban se omo ma country bia emewe ana so omo ma se nke se mu nya ntokwo bia omo be ko amamo enti na omo besi military base ewo around baby amo wo bi wo Niger Ghana hakura no bi wo ha baby countries ni bi wo bi wo ho ni nyina no na omo nim de omo ye cause omo pese omo twe oye no crude oil ne di kogu omo ho eno nti be Kufuor time president Kufuor time ena omo ye imagine say sanete dia gas ne kwan mfa so de fa ship ne ad na long ikura nti sanete dia be West Africa gas pipeline nti omo ye West Africa gas pipeline ne bi ba Ghana ha nyina ebi wo Niger ene Senegal ene Tunisia nyina ebi wo ho enti no eba sa no ma se omo pese omo twe gas no edi free Africa edi ko US a easy kura no an se omo connect pipe na straight na efa ponase straight na ko US enti ama omo ye omo adwen se omo beye we enti sojafo ebe take over na omo se no sa crude oil ne gas ne ade na omo de ko no modi musisi yen nyamfaso obi an frame ho enti no sesi ana o man kasa be take over na o ma hwe o ma de enti no ma start say o president ya ye na o kan wanti ase ne be US nchen ye be US nchen ne yankasa ya pekwan ya be fa so ye minerals ne yankasa ye be ye hu adwuma ma abrofo na ba ha beto ne nyamfaso chen say o mu ase o mo na ebo ye ho ba ase o mo hwe so na o mu wi akọ ye nya hwe o mu wi akọ ye nya hwe eno na Senegal fo ene Niger for many abre nti o mayi o government na si nchen na US 40 say government ye ni de be ma corruption no eso bete e be ma corruption na ma yetimi wi gas ndi ko no gas no se enche bia snow no e beto kese pa wo Europe abonten so na snow ni to a gas yen Africa e gas ene e connect edi wurawura asase na se ba bia na okubedu ba bi no neja ho obedu ba bi neja ho se ba se wo free akra ko Kumasi a mu ko nyina no obedu ba bi fanse obedu nkokọ neja bo ho krobi abedru su bia no na che se gas omo de gas no aye Africa for gas no a omo de pipeline twe ko ye no eno ena omo de asusoja okwan so se be ya ebe ma omo snow ne etop ema ha ombebre enti se wo na wo hwe na awone chi too much na wo don sa ayeden akọ ho so kakra ana no akọ hiti ho kakra na akọ eno ade eboa US for ni ye ade eboa Europe countries ni ye na eno so gas ne nya no nkwa no de ye niam bebre omutumi di power o mo energy nyina e de solar light ni ade eno na sese no Africans na say omo nya ne chips abiem eno nti omo mpene enti omo yes na omo sori etia omo government no say omo yi omo free so na omo aka side atake over na sa ne omo ni nyina ato atwa eno na France fo nso omo nso hia omo gas ni hia omo nso omo te ya omo muni ya kum omo se da ya mpene da adenti na motumo mo president na free so mo nsan fa ne metra so esa de e beba mo so eno na Niger fo no te na omo se mo beba yeso okay yen ni akode bebre because nye na ne ye tipa ye oti akonya so enti ye ni enioma bebre ni weapons ya ni mo de besi ani na emum sa na te de ba ko high lawyer eno nti Niger fo no akọ Russia any Russia fo na akoka ohun oni Russia fo na akoka ma omo soldier fo no group baako achese o comment ya say adwuma ma omo be mo battalions ni bi any bullet ni nyama ni bomb ni akone ma omo be den omo betumi di aba protect omo ho se be ya se France fo ye se manfa ban na sense su a ye be ba to ahye mo so US fo so sa na omo so ka se manfa omo ban na sense su a Niger fo so soldier fo na ni abri omo se no omo mpene e na omo akọ Russia na Russia fo no ayen amomo omo sign contract say omo betumi abehwe na omo protect omo enye omo minerals nti na omo ba enye Russia fo minerals nti na omo ba eye say omo peso US fo no ene France fo no peso omo beto show omo so nti na omo peso omo beboa omo na enye no nti na omo ba nti omo beba beboa omo nsan omo sinsan bibia pepepe na Russia fo no omo wo sa crude oil omo wo natural gas ni we ni bibia omo wo minerals no omo wo different enti omo ni how ho no omo be ka che Niger fo no ni Senegal fo no ni ade ni Africans ne say mo de ka bebre mo de ka ni mo na nanom tetete omo be free ni ama oil ni crude oil ni ayo omo ntua omo de ka bebre millions of dollars billions ni billions of dollars mo se moti ase na se manfa mo gas no ene mo minerals no ama abrofo na ama ma meko anfa ankokwa na mu pamom sa military base ni ade na mo ye wa ha ni nyina mo pamom efiri ho a e ka ni nyina ye de becha mo ye de becha Africans so ho entinka yen ga na ye dikai ye dikai a ye dika bebre wo ye friend say amama so omo tofu ebu ha ekofiri ni ade ye gas cry bi ye Ghana de ensuyen ni akofiri na ka ni nyina no Russia fo so omo de be chen yes ye jaisi ye de be ma Europeans na omo de be ti ase omo de be chen enti asem we senka ye de na Ghana fo ye de ehun kohyem ana ye mfa ye hun hyem e wo senka ba ni ti straight up ye mfa mom bi ye anka se ye bibia ha wa ope no bra na beto ni enya ho mfa so eno anu no sesei Russia fo no kan no ato Senegal fo no ene Niger fo na adwene mu e ma oma opam abrofo no den eno ena abrofo no krati ya oma bohu yie papa se ade we obi a wo ye de oka no wo se nye wo me fire gas wo me fire minerals wo me fa na muti asese mo mfa ma US fo ne you know ana mo mfa ma European countries na eno anu ye de mo ka bechem we de se atadun ya te den ne nanso Ghana de ase ye nte hwe ohun binum gu so mo ye nti wo de mo me nkɔhwɛ video no sɛnea ekoso ene sɛnea Niger fo no ne Senegal fo ne ade no mani abre West Africa gas pipeline omo ye na se pipeline na omo sisa ade akofa po na se akopie Europe no omo disconnect pipe no omo se omo ma gas bia nko ba bia ti American fo aye hie papa because gas ne eye nioma bebre mo me nkonko he video ne mra
in Washington who told me this is no joke. This is a major emergency. Africa, countries rising up saying, get the heck out of our countries. Stop stealing our minerals. If you're an investor, this could be an amazing moment. I'll show you more about that in just a moment. But first, many of our Western leaders are freaking out because stuff is about to hit the fan. The dominoes are starting to fall. This weekend, we saw dramatic developments all across Africa. Russian flags being raised in the air throughout the continent. First, to Niger, the country that started it all. Russian flags everywhere. And according to France 24 news service, the government of Niger has now signed a contract with the Russian Wagner Group for security. Yes, Wagner forces in Africa going to protect Niger. And they need it because the coup in Niger has entered the point of no return. The people rising up against French and United States influence. The Western powers that have controlled Niger for decades are being pushed out. And this weekend, the military leaders now say that Niger will no longer be a European colony. We're done with that. And they've demanded that all French soldiers and any United States influence get out now or face the consequences. Tens of thousands of people marched in Niger this weekend celebrating their independence and shouting no to foreign military bases, no to poverty, no to the West stealing their uranium, their phosphate, their gold, and other minerals. Get out now. Other African nations now showing their support for Niger and starting to say the very same thing. Get out of our country. This weekend, the people in Senegal rising up against Western colonial governments controlling their country. Yes, the CIA, MI6, other Western intelligence services are doing whatever they can right now to hold on to power in these countries with their puppet governments. That's why you saw crazy Victoria Nuland, who of course helped create the coup and the overthrow of the Ukrainian government, is now running into crazy mode, trying to see what she can do in Africa. Colonel Douglas McGregor says the people who've had their minerals stolen for years in that country are saying, enough is enough. Get out of my country.
The Africans are fed up with it. And so this is an example in Niger where a supposedly U.S.-backed government with a U.S.-trained military suddenly turned around and said, I think all of you white people need to get out of here. We've had it with you. Go away. Go, Europeans leave.
Again, we'll get to the uranium and the gold part of this story in a minute, which is arguably the most important part of this story, especially if you're an investor. But first, the story that no one's talking about is the massive natural gas pipeline that is nearly set to go online. Now, it starts in Nigeria and it flows up through Niger on its way into Europe. Chevron and the United States have already invested $13 billion into this. And after the Nord Stream pipeline destruction, Chevron stepped up production to get this pipeline up and running. And now the people of Niger are saying, wait a second, why are we going to allow a pipeline to flow right through our own country into Europe? You are doing nothing for us, and yet you continue to steal from us. So sorry, no more pipeline. This is why Europe is terrified this morning. And it was always going to be a very cold and dreary winter because of the natural gas destruction of the Nord Stream pipeline. This winter could be even worse now if this pipeline is not allowed to go into action in Africa. Niger is saying, sorry, you're not going to use our country to transport your natural gas into Europe. Get out of here. Get out now. Europe is facing catastrophe with no Nord Stream pipeline coming from Russia. The African pipeline was their salvation. And then add into it uranium and Europe's nuclear power. The United States gets over 50% of its uranium from Russia. Despite all the sanctions of the United States has placed on Russia, they left uranium off the list. Why? Because the United States is so heavily dependent on Russia for uranium that Putin could literally flip the switch and literally destroy the American economy by turning off the lights. Think about that for a minute. They sanctioned the hell out of Russia for everything else. But, oh, we need your uranium, so we won't sanction that. Just keep sending it to us. They could turn off the lights with a flip of a switch. And now Niger, the French, the United States have essentially been stealing uranium from these African countries for decades. And again, these countries are saying enough is enough. We are sovereign countries here in Niger, in Senegal, and in Guinea, and we are going to keep our own minerals, make our own decisions. And Russia is giving them that option. They had the big African summit in St. Petersburg last week. And Vladimir Putin and Russia said, we want you to keep your own sovereignty. Oh, and by the way, we are also going to wipe away all of the debt that you owe us. Billions of dollars wiped away. Think about that for a second. We're not going to steal from you. You can have your sovereignty, and we're going to wipe away your debt. Sounds like an attractive proposition for some of these countries, right? Not a slave to the West any longer. Listen to RT's Africa Bureau Chief Musa Ibrahim explain how the people of Africa want to gain back their wealth, their minerals, stop giving it away to America and Europe.
What people want is to gain back their wealth, back their uranium, their gold, their iron, their phosphate, their oil, their gas. And this scares the West because this means the true democracy will take place in Africa when people actually own their own land and the wealth of Africa does not go untaxed, unsupervised from the mines in Niger to the banks of Paris and the financial sector in Britain.
He's right. Niger's coup isn't a singular event, but it's actually a larger narrative right now and a pushback against Western neocolonialism. Africans seeking to regain their national sovereignty. Yes, they might be independent, but with a U.S. military base and French military bases here stealing all of our minerals, how exactly are we sovereign? Imagine if China did that to the United States. Oh yeah, we're America, we're a sovereign nation. But here's Russia and China literally building military bases in our own country. Would we stand for it? No. Africa saying, hey, we are rich in uranium, but we don't get to benefit from the wealth of this mineral because you steal it from us. So guess what? We are going to enrich our own uranium and then we'll sell it to you and you'll pay us a fair market price for it. No more theft. Africa is in the middle of a revolution. That's the news update part of today's video.
Oh, I'm for any brew African Casancasa, Tunisia for near break, elbow pam Russia for no cry, almost pam UK for no. Mon common cockra, mon family, your uncle, your mamma near she be your mamma minerals be a beam, your mamma oil gas new in crude oil, your mamma beam, or many a break out more person with your man here, a seal. When I so, Ghana for Yantehe. Hey, one more year. Oh, we know Russia president and the air bomb. A dream crab, a brophony year, no, the Bema, Mother Bema, Tunisia, Senegal, and Sa, and Niger for no. So, Munyani say, Mambo to me, Ashemo, Mambo to me, I am a managema, Minrasano, Modia Ton Anyam Faso, and my marker some day develop a crew, since some of them Europeans and a quano. Oh, it's your Muguso pa ni braba. Oh, sa Wagner group na sa military soldiers na omo Russia no. Sa Wagner group no. Omo a very strong pa team a chese wudi agro entoko omo kun omo na ekune kese pa. Nanso still ye be say yibi. Ye be yibi, omo be yibi di abanije. Abe protecting Niger say wa o de o say US o say France fo. On say Niger for no omo a French country. Enti no omo no omo colonize French for nsem enti no amasela na omo di omo so omo free say na omo sisi omo pese omo di omo free France for nsem eno na omo ntiase no and as say the I and the buakam say omani abre wa soja for ne mema pa wo de sika atwa no kura ntwa wo bonu tue enko omani abre ye papa enti mma eni na ho na Ghana so ye hwe ne ntwa na mo papa ye nka se yenko yeku ye nyeku de nanso ye ntwa na mo papa ntra ho ma ye nyeku ansa na mo twa na mo pa Ghana mpanifo yesrem pa yada masipi mo subscribe my ye nya ho de fa mo omrem yada masipi